We're here today. Awesome guest, Elina Barbosa, activist, health professional. Many of you may know her from the wonderful appearance she made in the Ledger transcript, sort of right up top. And yeah, today we're gonna just sort of talk about racism in the Monadnock region, because I hear a lot of white people talking about it. And I want to make sure that we're getting as many voices into that conversation as possible, especially somebody who now is sort of the face of it in many ways. So without any real further ado, I'm going to bring on Lena right now. Lena, welcome.
Hello.
How are you today?
Pretty good.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. So yeah, obviously, you know, it's fantastic that you're here to do this today. One of the first guests, actually, you know, like the third real live stream guest like this. So really cool. Yeah, I guess I'll just dive right into it. So I want to take a moment to address, for those who haven't seen it, they can go to the channel and they can watch the June 6th protest video, which I posted up there. And some folks in town came to me and felt that they had a problem with what I had said to Lena in shot, thanking her for coming out, and her kids for coming out to what I had said was such a white town. And while I had made every effort to express solidarity and inclusiveness in that, the fact of the matter is the words themselves absolutely can have an othering effect for folks. And it's really difficult when you're raised in a community like this to tread that line and to know what's acceptable and what's not acceptable to say. And, to understand just how to build that solidarity when we're really in a very, very minute specific area here. And I wanted to give you an opportunity to respond to that, because I wanted very much so to recognize my own role in that, and to just kind of deal with that head on. So if you want to I want to give you the space to respond to that.
Okay. I did see the comment. To be honest, I wasn't offended at all, I must say, of what you said. I was a little upset of the comments that was coming at you. Yeah, you're a white male in Peterborough standing up for Black Lives Matter. I get that. It's probably tough for where you're standing at right now. But come on, people. We do live in New Hampshire. It is all white folks out here. He is speaking facts. I did my research and everything. There is 95% of white people in New Hampshire. So what he said was true. My children was not offended by it. I wasn't. So I just want to make that clear. And I'm sorry for people that feel that way, but it's the truth. That's my say on it.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. You know, I think it's for a lot of us white folks, it can be really like nerve-wracking almost to go into that situation and know
absolutely
what's okay for me to say right now, even, you know what I mean? And that's definitely, you know, for whatever good I ever do, I always try to remember, hey, I am within a box and I can always do better. And I also recognize that, you know, not everybody has the same experience, and what could be offensive to one person isn't to another. And something I also try to say frequently is that, like we talk about black people or people of color as if they're monolithic, and they just aren't. Like any group, there's diversity of opinion within it. And
absolutely.
Yeah, so I thank you for just taking a minute with me to deal with that. So just to move on, what have been your personal experiences with racism, like however minute they may be, or if you have friends that have experienced it, what's that been like here in this region, whether it's in Peterborough here or Dublin or wherever?
it's it's been tough. I'm a private person. I don't I don't have many friends. I have a lot of coworkers that love me and I love them too. And I try to keep to myself. So I don't really share my experiences, but it's been tough. I've moved out here from Rhode Island, a big city, 10 years ago. My first job that I had out here was at Walmart. I was working in the jewelry department. And yeah, I seen a lot of tough things. It's even to the point that obviously I'm a salesperson. I would sell jewelry. One lady would not even come to me because I was working. She completely asked for a different person to come serve her. And it hurts. Even now I'm like shaky, but it hurts. But what can you do? I I need to work. I need to support my family. So I could just bite my tongue and smile and not say nothing. I also worked at a local nursing home. I was a housekeeper. This one's a tough one. I was a housekeeper and I was cleaning residents' rooms. And I overheard my manager saying, she cleans very good. So in my head, I'm like, yeah, he's praising me. Yeah, I'm doing an awesome job. But then I continue to listen. Oh, yeah, Negroes know how to clean really good. That's what they do. I just didn't know what to do. I sat there, I cried. Oh, I cried. I walked out. I quit my job. I just, at that moment, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say. I just completely left. Whew.
I I mean, thank you for sharing that. I know that's obviously an incredibly difficult thing to talk about. Was that here in this area, like in the
It
Monadnock
wasn't,
region?
I will not say what town, but
Absolutely.
it's in the Monadnock region.
Okay. Um yeah, I mean,
Since I've moved out here, I've always lived in the Monadnock region.
that's I mean, to me that's an incredibly powerful thing to hear. And I just when I hear that people say, "Well, we don't really have a problem with racism here." I don't know how to square what I just heard from you with that. And that's not something that's debatable. I mean, if you heard those words, you heard those words. So, it, have you had any other experiences like that? Like anything casual, less like incredibly overt, like, you know?
Uh, I've been pulled over numerous of times. There was one incident in the same town that I worked in. I was coming back from my sister-in-law's house, and she was just having a gathering, and we was coming back. We was driving back home, and we got pulled over by the local cops. We was doing absolutely nothing, driving. It was 1 o'clock in the morning. We was coming home from my sister-in-law's house. We got pulled over. The cop came to the car, noticed it was two black people in the car. Flashlights. I looked over to the other side. I wasn't driving. I looked over to the other side. There's flashlights pointed at me. We have flashlights on both sides. Just, oh, where are you coming from? My sister-in-law's house. She had a little cookout gathering. Going home, we live 2 minutes up the road. Okay. Just completely like asking us questions. Didn't ask our names, didn't ask registration, didn't ask nothing at all. Nothing. We in me, I'm not scared of the cops. If you know me, I'm not scared of nobody. I will speak. And when I asked why are we getting pulled over, they had nothing to say and they completely walked away. And what do? Just We went home. What are you to do? That's not the only time. I've gotten pulled over on my way to work when I used to work third shift in a nursing home in Winchendon. I've got pulled over by police. I'm going to work, an LNA in my scrubs going to work, getting pulled over. Oh, where are you going? I'm going to work, officer. That is where I'm going. Nothing else. Doesn't ask my name, doesn't ask registration. Okay. And walks away. Why are you pulling me over? I'm not speeding. I'm doing my signals. I'm obeying the law. It's 10:30 at night. I am driving to work. It just and I get when people say they don't see racism. Some don't experience it. There's not a lot of Black people in this area. When I first moved out here, I was like, wow, I am the only Black girl. I used to get so happy when I seen colored people. I don't even like saying colored people. I used to get so happy when I seen people like me. I used to be like, oh, look, there's somebody like me, like joy in my heart because it wasn't only me. It's just, it's tough.
Yeah, well, I mean, and I can understand the idea of like, I hear somebody that I can relate to on an experience level of just like they know or have experienced something that I have, like that I know none of these other folks have. Yeah, it's really, and I think you're getting to a good point there, which is like, it's really easy for us to say, you know, well, I don't see racism. And it's like, well, yeah, because you can't see what you don't see. You can't know what you don't know. If you're not out there, if you're not doing the work, you're not speaking with people, then you would have no concept of it. You know, like I was watching the most recent Peterborough Select Board meeting, which I actually had sort of posted up on I did an episode on it yesterday, and something that I didn't necessarily speak about too much was just like, you know, there was someone who had come in the comments and asked, well, you know, it begs the question, how many incidents do we have? And the response to it was sort of like, well, formal complaints, none. Informal complaints, well, also none. And I thought to myself, that just can't be the case, because I've spoken to people that have told me about their experiences with racism in the area. So it's gotta be that, like, ultimately the folks who are experiencing that they aren't sharing it because they don't feel comfortable, because they're in an incredible minority and may not feel like they have the backup to speak out on that issue. And my thought was like, if you can't ask a public official that, you have to go out and you have to meet people and talk to them and learn what their experiences are, and also create a sense of comfort between you and them. Actually befriend them, you know, because we're not just going to share that really intense stuff right when we first meet somebody.
Absolutely. I agree with everything you just said. Everything.
So you just spoke on this work as an LNA. I mean, you've spent many years in the health and life services industry. And I mean, something that I have a lot of friends that speak on and deal with mental health problems. And I sorry about that. Just had a stream problem there for a moment. Let's just make sure everything gets back up. But I know that you work in the health profession, and I wanted to ask you sort of like, what's your experience with discrimination or prejudice towards people who are mentally ill, do you, or non-neurotypical, do you see similarities between the experiences of people of color in this area and, say, disabled folks or people who have less accessibility? I mean, obviously they are not the same issue, but I'm sort of wondering about some of the things that underpin that, as, you know, somebody who is in the industry and also, you know, experiencing a completely separate type of problem.
Yeah. Um, from my personal, from what I've seen, I don't see no discrimination from like people that are handicapped and have disabilities and stuff. I feel as though they get treated the same and stuff. And I personally haven't experienced seeing anything like that. But my experiences in working in the health field, yeah, I've experienced of quite a few different things, to the point sometimes I feel like I apply somewhere and they don't hire me because the color of my skin. It's just it's real.
I hear that. I mean, it's like I you know, I know that this kind of thing does sort of like occur on the side, and it can be tough to sort of see it happen in real time, you know.
Mm.
But I mean, it's, you know, again, it's like it might be one of those things where like it's harder to see it happen, you know, if you're already somebody that these management types might try to hide it from, you know.
Mhm.
Um, and you know, and I always just sort of want to like help people understand the, you know, like the realities of the relationship between work and capital and race, that um a big function of a big function of racism is, people like often point out, if you look at black scholars, you know, Cornell West is out here all the time just killing it about it, but really trying to acknowledge the relationship between capital and racism, like systemic racism as we understand it. And I'm just, you know, like, what can you speak to that at all? Your experiences with it, because I always want people to share their own individuality with it, and not necessarily like, I don't want to put any words in anyone's mouth.
Yeah. That's I stumbled on this question too. But I don't know. Uh, it's I don't even know how to like get a handle on it, and it's like I said, I haven't. It's tough. I don't even know how to begin this.
That's totally fine. It's, yeah. I mean, my thinking is kind of like, you know, it's, for us, it is a common thread that is colorless. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
um, it's very much so this like colorless issue that like we all share an experience as workers, right? And
Yeah.
the majority of us know what it's like to deal with just a shitty boss, you know. Like, we've all kind of been there. We've all been in a
Yeah.
toxic work environment. We've all made less money than we felt we deserved.
Absolutely.
And I just, yeah, I think that's something that, like, do you feel like that's a good way for us to start connecting?
I feel as though, yeah, a little bit and stuff. With my personal experiences, I've only, like I've explained, with my only my one boss that I had. But every other boss have been very understanding, and with me being me as a black woman, and I haven't experienced or felt as they was treating me any differently and stuff. But I do hear from other friends that I do have that feel as though they're getting treated differently or they're getting paid less than the white girl that works there, or say the other person and stuff like that. So with me, yeah, I do see it, and it's tough because I feel as though everybody should be treated equally, no matter what gender, your color of your skin, whatever it may be.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, and that's, I mean, that's the stuff that I always try to get at too, is that it's just, if we want to really like address it, especially in this area where you're talking about such a homogenous group of people, it's almost like you want to really re-examine like the concept of prejudice as a whole, rather than just trying to say like, all right, well, let's focus on the race issue. As much as we want to focus on that, and that's absolutely the pressing matter, it's like, and very much so the way for us to get into the conversation, you're talking about a completely different type of problem here, where like in this area, what you're most likely to experience is a much more casual form of racism. You know what I mean? Like a very like offhanded, like, oh, well, where are you from? Oh, I mean, like, what country? Something like that, where it's like, and you're just like, hey, man, I'm from Providence. Like,
Absolutely. And I'm smiling because I've been through that. People ask me, oh, where are you from? They expect me to say like, like Africa. No, I'm from Providence, Rhode Island. Like,
right.
And it's true. I've been asked that a million times.
Yeah. And like, and what I always try to point, like, hey, like that's an internalized racism. And it's like, I know, and much like what I was sort of getting at the top with what I said is, it's like, I worry about saying that kind of stuff, not actively that like, oh, I'm concerned that I'm going to do this, but I try to watch my words, because I'm very conscious of this like casual form of racism that can occur in this particular area that is so prominent. You know what I mean? Like it's far more common than the incredibly overt examples that people would expect to see, or it's not the same thing as having a cop literally come and beat you. It's a slightly different problem in a way, but it's almost more insidious, because it's addressing that underpinning issue of where does this source from? You know what I mean? And how can it affect you even when you think you're doing a good job? So not to take the space from you, obviously. I want.
Oh no.
But that's been my observation. So I did, like, obviously there's the broader conversation happening right now about defunding police. And I want to get your take on that personally.
All right. I'm not really into politics or anything. I knowledge myself with what I need to know. And when it's time to vote, I knowledge myself on that. My take on it is, everybody keeps saying, oh, you're agreeing with taking all the money from the police. No, do your research. Google it, just like I did. Do your research. They're not taking all the money from the police. They're defunding it, meaning like they're going to take some money away to put in communities, mental health, and homeless people. Do you know how many homeless people we have around here? They need the help also. The money shouldn't always go to the police. Yeah, I believe they're here to protect and serve some of us, but it needs to go to different outreaches too. Mental health, yes, needs to go. Homelessness needs help. Counseling. So we need help other places also, not just the police. Not just the police. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I do not like policemen, but come on. Everybody needs help. Let's help other people also, not just them.
Right. And I think, and that's really like, to me, that's the key thing right there, is that it's about it's about like social workers and mental health professionals coming in and getting involved, because, how many times would that situation be better served by like a cop not being there and having a doctor or a crisis counselor there instead. I always think about it in terms of like the police are a monopoly of force, right? Like that's their whole thing is they got the guns, right? So they show up and they got the guns, and if you're not careful, they'll use their authority on you. And it's like, I don't know why we have to choose to deal with our problems in such an oppositional manner when we have so many other clear, obvious choices that are less, just inherently less violent or inherently less, or more risk averse, than bringing a cop into the situation. Somebody who also just doesn't really have the training, frankly.
Yeah. And a cop doesn't really know what you're going through right that moment. Like you said, yeah, get a social worker, a crisis, a doctor, somebody to calm them down if they're going through something. This is why we need more outreaches, more help for mental health issues and stuff like that. There are so many people that are going through mental health issues right now and can't seek the help that they need. And it's sad. And everybody goes through health issues. Everybody.
Right. Well, and to hear you say that as somebody who literally works as a nurse, to say this is where we need to be focusing on. I mean, like, I trust that. Frankly, I trust that more than I trust a cop telling me that they need to. Oh, well, don't cut our budget. Give us more money. Like, okay. The amount of study that goes into doing that on their part is not as. It really. It's just not as comprehensive. That's frankly.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So, I just, I want to sort of give like a last section here to just like give you the floor to talk about things from your perspective. I mean, we've definitely heard a lot of like from where you're at, but without asking a single question, frankly, like if you want to take this space to speak to people and really say something in a more informal way, and I'm not going to like cut it down or anything like that. I just want to give you that opportunity.
All right. Well, yeah, I did say a lot. I'm not saying everybody has to be with Black Lives Matter and all that, but just get some education. Listen to us. Research. Google is out there for a reason. There's a lot of videos that you could learn. There's books out there. It's just get out there and meet us. Don't get this, oh, Black people are a threat. I don't label myself. I'm me. I am Elina Barbosa. I am me. That's who I am. I want you to know me and love me as I am. Never mind the color of my skin. Never mind that. I have to learn. I have to learn to live with white racism. People need to learn how to live with Black people. We are here. We are not going anywhere. Just like you're not going anywhere. I had to learn to work with all kinds of people. I've been the only girl in a job that I was labeled, oh, she's the only Black girl that works there. Whatever. Like, it doesn't bother me anymore. It doesn't. I've grown a very thick skin. But it's sad to be labeled like that. Oh, she's the only Black girl that works there. Oh, yeah. My son was at a school for 3 years, and he was the only Black kid there. The only one there. I felt for him. But his best friends are all white. My mother-in-law is white. That is the reason why I moved to New Hampshire, because of my white family. My Bergeron family, they are my family. And then when people say, oh, how's that your mother-in-law? Because she's white and her son's Black. That's my mother-in-law. My white people will do anything for me. They will bend over backwards. They took me in when I had nowhere to go. There's no hate in my heart. I love everybody, no matter the color of your skin, fat, skinny, I don't care. As long as you respect me for who I am, I will respect you to the fullest. Just just do some research. Learn about us. There's a lot of movies out there. Netflix has just updated their Black Lives Matter. I've been listening to podcasts. Project 1619. Listen to that. There's a lot of resources out there. Get out there and listen.
Yeah, thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, like, so, to share some of my resources lately, I mean, like, I've been looking into and reading John A. Powell, who's just he's the leader of the Berkeley Othering and Belonging Institute, and he's just done excellent work describing broadly the act of othering, which sort of gets at what I was trying to allude to with, like, with mental health, with gender, with anything, that there's religion, that it doesn't have to be that type of identification, that it can be a cultural identification or something much like that. I also would recommend to people bell hooks. Bell hooks is incredible. There's also and I would recommend any of her books. Also Robin DiAngelo's Robin DiAngelo's White Fragility, Why Is It So Hard for White People to Talk About Racism? That's an excellent book, and she's got, like, a full hour-and-a-half long special on YouTube. You can go listen to that if you don't want to read. Like,
I actually listened to a little bit about that the other day.
Yeah, and it's really enlightening, man. It's really enlightening. So, and that's great. I think, like, for me, I want to just use this as a place to share resources like that too. And thank you so much for sharing yours.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Hey, no problem. It was such a pleasure to have you on today, Lena. And, thanks for carving out some time on, like, a Thursday afternoon to do this. I know it's kind of a wacky slot. So
I appreciate it, and thank you for having me here and getting my voice out here. I just want people to be educated. Just educate yourself. Before you judge, just educate.
Absolutely. And I mean, and it's nice to hear from you, and to not just have your photo be the only representation we have. As powerful and positive an image as that is, I think it really helps to hear you speak as well. So thank you.
It was emotional for me. As you could tell in the picture, it was very emotional. Yeah. But I must say, and I must thank the town of Peterborough. Like, you guys touched my heart. You guys really did. Like, I walked up and down by myself, holding my fist up, thanking everybody that was there. It showed me that I do have support out here. For the ones that think we don't, I do. And thank you for that. Thank you for all my allies. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Lena. Hey, we'll catch you soon. Maybe catch you at the next protest.
I will be there.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. Hey, have a great day. Thanks so much.
Thank you. You as well.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. So there we go. That was Elina Barbosa. I really enjoyed that. I really appreciate her candor on the whole thing. And I think there's a lot that I can learn from that conversation, and I think there's a lot that the rest of us can learn as well. I apologize for the little section in the middle where things got a little scrappy image-wise. Sometimes Zoom doesn't want to agree with us, especially on a rainy day like today. But again, thanks for anybody who just hung in there with it. This is definitely a shorter segment because of that, and taken my time out and everything like that. But I want to say thank you to everybody who's tuned in the past week or so. The support for this channel means a lot. I try to do a lot of work to just help push things forward as much as I can. And I know that I'm not always right. And I know that I can upset some people sometimes, and that's okay too. But I really want to appreciate everybody who's come out and checked out this stuff, whether you agree with me or not. Because I think it really shows that we as a community can really move forward and take this on. And I think, you know, to Lena's point there at the end, you know, just this is a place where we actually have the power and the opportunity to truly excise racism from our community. I think we can do it. I think it's possible. It's not something that's immediate. It's not something that is going to be easy. It's not something that we can do and then it's done. But I think we here in this region have a unique opportunity to try and approach it. And I think there's a lot of appeal that we can make. So anyways, thanks everybody for tuning in. Obviously, you can become a patron, which would be great. Support this. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Please smash the like button on the video, as they say all over YouTube. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. You don't need a special YouTube username or anything like that. You can just do it with your Gmail. But the little bell will give you notifications for when we go live. And with that, I'm gonna call today a day. And that was it, folks. Thanks so much for tuning in.